Let me describe for you a hypothetical. There's a person that you've known for a very long time. The two of you are close and you talk almost every day. You have budding feelings of romance for them, but you're not sure how they feel about you. One day, you're texting back and forth like usual, when suddenly they send you a message that just says, "I love you." No emojis, no silly videos, not even some extra exclamation marks. Your heart starts to beat fast, your hands get clammy, and now you're tasked with deciphering this message. Do they mean they love you like a friend? Maybe like a sibling? Perhaps something more. You're frozen with indecision and unsure how to reply. You panic, and after what feels like an eternity, you send back LOL. Probably could have handled that better. But don't feel bad. Our collective communication skills, and by proxy our ability to make connections with others, have been severely diminished as of late. As time has passed, communication continues to change and evolve with the world. But one of the most recent developments, the prioritization of social media, is harming not only our communication, but our connections as well. I've lived through the technological boom of my generation. I've seen the birth of social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I've watched phones evolve from landlines to flip phones to smartphones, and then somehow back to flip phones. I've witnessed firsthand the impact that these innovations have had on the way we communicate with others. Social media tells us that we are more interconnected with each other than ever before, but I would argue that these platforms simply create the illusion of human connection. If you have social media accounts, think about the people you follow. Do you ever directly communicate with them? Or if you have followers yourself, have you had a conversation with any of them? Met any of them in person? This lack of connection has, This lack of connection fostered by social media is responsible for the decline in our communication skills. It has led to a decrease in empathy, a lack of critical thinking and fact verification, and it polarizes and divides people. One of the most prominent features on any form of social media is the ability to leave comments. There's a good chance that if you scroll comments on any post, it will take less than 15 seconds to see a rude comment. The anonymity of social media has promoted a lack of empathy. For those who don't know, empathy is our ability to feel and understand what others are feeling, to put ourselves in their shoes. People on social media sites are represented as little more than a username and a profile picture. This allows people to speak and act without fear of repercussion. There's a lack of accountability and a lack of acknowledging social media users as human beings. According to a 2024 research article by Mosner and Walter on the effects of social media on people's empathy, there are many contributing factors to people's ability to empathize with others. Things like body language and tone of voice. But most of these factors are dependent on face-to-face interactions and are directly hindered when applied to conversations on social media platforms. As these kinds of hostile interactions become more commonplace over social media, these habits begin to bleed into the real world. Social media sites have morphed into more than just a way to communicate with others. For some, they've become the sole way that many people get their news. But the tidal waves of misinformation have made it increasingly difficult to separate fact from fiction. Social media encourages the spreading of misinformation and has promoted a style of communication that rewards being the first to say something instead of being correct about it. In a 2021 article by Bhuvanesh Singh and Dilip Kumar Sharma discussing how to determine the authenticity of images and fake news on social media, they state, "There is a paradigm shift in how people consume news today. They mostly look for a summarized version of news over the social media platforms to quickly gather more information. This rapid spread of misinformation has directly influenced how we share information, even in face-to-face interactions. It has removed the need to verify statements with sources and facts. This leads to polarized individuals who either believe everything or nothing. Social media is sold to us as the ultimate tool for connecting to others. Despite this, people feel more divided and isolated than ever. The potential for sharing ideas and lived experiences with those of completely different backgrounds is boundless on social media platforms. But often what happens is that people find groups of others that share their same opinions and then isolate themselves into a social bubble, further narrowing their view of the world and the people in it. It is stated in a 2024 article by Emerson Rodriguez on the development of echo chambers on social media sites. An attitude of isolation possibly points out the opposite of these ideals, suggesting an aversion to criticism and the view of different opinions as completely worthless. When this isolation transforms into polarization, with two groups fighting each other, it strays further away from a democratic ideal of society, possibly leading people to believe that those who think differently are enemies that must be silenced. With algorithms on social media sites reinforcing our opinions and biases, it further divides us from the rest of the world. Our perspectives become narrow and cynical. In a world so divided from, excuse me, in a world so divided, solid communication and connection have never been more important to solve the problems that we now face. Our methods of communication are constantly changing, some for better and some for worse. Social media, as it is used now, has been a detriment to our communication. It has removed empathy from the forefront of social interactions. It has led to the trust of misinformation and lessened our willingness to question things. And it has divided us and polarized our feelings towards those who are different. It doesn't have to stay this way, though. Just like all technology, social media is a tool that we get to decide how to use. It can become the great connector it claims to be if we make a better effort to communicate with one another with empathy at the forefront of our minds. Build bridges and make connections to those that may seem different. You never know. A lifelong bond could be just around the corner. All it takes is someone being the first to say hello.